Teen Time Productions is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to supporting teenagers in need. Their mission is to provide critical support and resources to empower teens to thrive in challenging circumstances. Teen Time seeks additional funding for their vital programs and initiatives. Learn how you can help support Teen Time with a small donation and just how far that donation can go. Teen Time Productions next on Bayside. Good afternoon and welcome to Bayside. I am your host, Shelley Sanders. Here with me is no stranger to the show, of course. Where shall I say I should begin? Keynote speaker, youth specialist, visionary, inspirational speaker, commentary guru, etc., founder extraordinaire, Stacy Spencer. Welcome back to the show.
Oh, I'm so honored to be here with you. It's always a pleasure, and thank you for having me. I tell you what, going into the summer months and looking at this whole year all together has been different for a lot of us. And so I know you have quite a few questions, and I'll jump in whenever you kind of open that doorway, but just always an honor and a pleasure to be with you and the team.
Oh, well, the feeling's mutual. So some viewers maybe just now are checking in or new to the show, maybe new to the area, haven't heard of Teen Time or Miss Stacy yet.
Okay.
So let's start with just the basics,
Sure.
right? So where did it begin? How did you come to a reckoning, if you will? Like what inspired you to create Teen Time?
You know, when we started so many years ago, we were in a different market, different time, different season. Even the technology was different. Back in the day, they still had remote controls, and then they had those different type of TVs that were bigger at the time. And so the information superhighway was not even evolved during that time period. So people were really glued to the TV. Television was to be and is to be a safe place for our children. And we wanted to do something that was inspirational, innovative, and encouraging to these young people to do the 3 E's: educate, encourage, and empower the youth of today to be the leaders of today and tomorrow. They lead us now, and they lead us in many different directions, but they spend so much time in social media. So then and now, there's still that premise of we need to have something that's wholesome, that's healthy, that's supportive on the educational, emotional, and psychological side.
What was it that made you think that there's a need for this?
Oh yeah, there were a lot of kids at the time getting in trouble. Just a lot of mayhem, a lot of acting out, a lot of violence on the rise. Wasn't as bad as it is today, but it was like it has to be the movies, it has to be the television, it has to be the lyrics and music, it has to be the gaming. Something is driving this rage and these acting out. I mean, this acting out, what is going on? So at the time, in another market, the mayor said, you know, we need to get some positive things in the community for our young people. And so I sat down to the kitchen table, and that's where I began to write the thesis for Teen Time.
And so it was created.
Yes, it was created.
So let's talk about those teens. What was that? Even now, but in the beginning, what was the response? How did that go? And what do you find even currently with the teens that you encounter and inspire? What's the reaction?
I think at the time, this was some years ago. I won't say the years, but it was some years ago. I think that the parents and teachers and guardian ad litems was so thankful and grateful that there was a positive reflection of our young people on TV. They said, where have you been all of our lives? We've needed more of this. Production is very expensive, and back then it was expensive, but you can do more now in social media and create your own things at not the big price tag. However, it was a way to bring the community and every stakeholder together in the lives of young people.
Right.
And in the center were the issues of our young people.
Right. So when in the early days you were on, it was a matter of being on television, getting
Yes.
these youngsters, giving them purpose and something to do.
Yes.
Idle time, as they say, is devil's playground, and
Yes.
instead kind of formulating something for them to do.
Yes.
So now with the occurrence, like you've said, of social media, and it is everywhere, and
Yes.
most teenagers, I don't know one that's not fluent in all of it, right?
Right.
So
Right.
with that, how has it evolved from television now to the social media aspect, and what's the response from these inspired teens that you've been helping?
This is post now since we've had the pandemic, and there's still some issues that are looming out there like it was back then when we started. Kids can get introverted, isolated, and feel insignificant. The 3 I's. Even today, those 3 I's are prevalent today. The insignificance of who I am, even though I have so many multiple likes in social media. Back then, kids were not caring if you liked them or not. They were about their books, their studies, and getting into their scholastics and after-school endeavors, whether it was sports or if they were a part of a glee club or the singing, champs club or whatever it might be, or an arts class. Today, everything is so competitive and so serious, and it's all about how you see me in the world and how I see myself in the reflection of the world. And for these young people to have to get in social media, ask someone to like them, I cringe still to this day. It's just not the most feasible way of learning and living. It still hasn't played out to be very successful.
Right. So what is Teen Time doing about that?
We take private, I guess I don't want to use the word solicitation, private request. A lot of private requests have come through to do things at like birthday parties and bar mitzvahs or weekend, stays, pool parties for young people. Just talking to the adults really that want to understand where did I miss it? How can I get a handle on this information superhighway, this pulse? Where did we, give up the reins? Where did we stop being who we are, the parents, the teachers, the guardian ad litem? Where did we stop in taking ownership of that and being comfortable taking ownership of that? We always say parents need to be the parents.
Right. So when you have the adults in the room that come to you and ask you these hard questions, where are you getting your information? Is this coming from the teens, and this is how you're making that connection and inspiring, in essence, both?
Some is through Pew Media, some is through research of the CDC, the trickulation of what you see happening with our young people, the usage of opioids and the drug addiction and the erratic behavior, the gun violence that's on the rise. I mean, all of that.
Right.
So when they ask those tough questions, we take it back to them. Think of when you were a young person.
Right. Now, I know you at home are probably wondering, gosh, where can I get more information? Or you want to know anything that Stacy and I might talk about today on the show. That is the website you're looking at right there, and it's Teen Tyme, Tyme with a Y, not an I. TYME.com. That's the website you're looking at right there. For more information, I encourage you to go check it out. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break, but we'll be back to continue our conversation with Miss Stacy. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Bayside. I'm your host, Shelley Sanders. We've been talking all about Teen Time Productions. And of course, we can't do that without the founder and communication extraordinaire, Miss Stacy Spencer. So we've kind of been talking about the background and what the differences between back in the day, as you quote it, and today. And it's very different from just full-on focus of television production versus now anyone with a cell phone, which everyone knows. If you are a teenager, there's not one teenager I know that does not have a phone, a cell phone, right?
Right.
So these beings who are not exactly, it's kind of ironic, isn't it? They're not the greatest communicators, yet they all have a phone.
Right.
So needless to say, they have a phone, and so now it's all the social media has kind of taken a forefront and put television in the back seat. So for teenagers, it's kind of just changed the way Teen Time does things. So let's talk about the different branches of Teen Time. Explain that to me.
So when we originally started out those many years ago, and there were two arms of the brand. So it was the programmatic and programming. The programming was where the Just Teens television program was funded by the city, where we were at the time, by Brown and Williams and Tobacco. They had a tattoo program, which was Teens Against Tobacco Usage. They were a big supporter. And then private and anonymous sponsors that said, we need to keep this programming going, because it was more than just sit and talk. It had educational elements within the show, which was the word wizard. And I used to tell young people, you know, your vocabulary can carry you very far, or it can shut you way down quick. So let's learn some words. Vicissitudes, or cacophony, or epidemiology. You know, teaching them the parts of speech, how to use it in a sentence, and what's the meaning of the word. The history hitter. I think everyone's history is amazing, whether it's Anglo-Saxon or if it's African-American history, whatever it might be. So teaching them about history moments, things that turned in this country, that turned it for the better for humanity. And then things shifted back to the classroom, that character building initiative where we instill the high standards, the meaningful morals, the valuable virtues, the priceless values. And today, I would say social media has robbed many of our kids of their values, their morals, and just their self-worth.
How, with that being said, how is it that you're what is Teen Time's approach at trying to right the ship, if you will, as it relates to social media? Because I don't know that it's going to be able to eradicate that.
No.
But what is your advice to teens from Teen Time's perspective, knowing that that's how you feel about social media? How do you approach that?
I think what we do now is the groups are not so big. They're smaller, more intimate in that third place environment, whether it's an Christian group or a secular group, or it's in a coffee house or a playhouse, whatever it might be. We get them to focus in on them. Lots of in the moment critical journaling, as I call it. Who do you say you are? How do you identify with the world? What's your real purpose? What's your promise?
Do you find that they have an answer for those?
They say something, they write something, but this critical journaling that we like to do is for them to keep private with themselves unless they choose to share, because we don't want them to feel invaded.
I think those are pretty tough questions even to ask grown adults.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I know a few that wouldn't be able to answer those.
What is your purpose? First, define purpose in today's world, where social media rules their minds, their hearts, and their spirit, rules their ego and their self-worth. It's critical.
For sure. So you talk a lot about some of the gesturing, or even some of the behaviors of teens and how social media has affected that. Has there been any kind of gestures that have what you feel or what you would dub as compelling gestures that you've seen teens demonstrate, like in today's world, and maybe even what does it look like as opposed to back in the day?
You know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I am seeing that honor and respect system come back into the forefront to where some families have just said, in this house, we will serve an almighty God. I hope I can say that. And then they will say, if you don't want to serve him, you're going to serve me because I'm the master of my house. The phone goes down. And when we're at the dinner table, lunch table, breakfast table, the phone goes down.
Right.
So some people, parents have become the parents again, or the guardians have become the guardians again. And so what they're not letting young people do is rule the roost. And so we have to kind of put the strong arm of faith back into the mantle. And the nicest thing that I've seen a few young people do, even for myself and one of my senior citizens, they held the door for us and said, "Oh no, you're worth it. We'll wait on you."
Common courtesy, right?
Common courtesy.
I love it. So teentime.com, and that is teen Tyme spelt with a Y, teen, Tyme.com. That is the website. You're actually looking at it. That's what's on your screen right now. That's the website that you're going to go to if you have any questions or you'd like to make some donations or just get more information about Teen Tyme itself. You'll find it all right there. We'll be back after this, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Bayside. I'm your host, Shelly Sanders. I've been talking with Miss Stacy Spencer all about Teen Tyme Productions. Now, Stacy, I have to say, the last time you were here, you were in need of an SUV and really hoping to make that happen. Has that come into fruition for you?
It has not come into fruition for us yet.
Gotcha.
But we're still hopeful. The main thing is that sustainability, to have those operational expenses, because we don't charge these young people or any sites that we do deliver the message of hope, we don't charge them anything. And nor do I make a salary. However, we have to have the products and materials covered so that if we are doing a special presentation or if we want to take a special perk or gift to this population of people, we need those resources and funds for that. Plus, it helps to keep those computers fired up because those are expensive and the electricity is expensive.
All of this doesn't get done for free, unfortunately.
No.
So that said, what is your monetary goal for this year and how far away from it are you?
We, since, having the atrocities of the pandemic, it seems like giving for mid, big, and small, we're small organic nonprofit, the giving has been down across the board. So, if we said a great number, I'd love to say 6 figures. We said high five. If we got 25,000 in the bank, that would be good. But 15,000, that doesn't stop us from working. We keep rolling. So it's kind of whatever people feel in their hearts. We say it's a heart feeling.
Oh, well, of course, and all the, pennies add up and become dollars, and dollars add up as well. So it isn't about the size of the donation. It's like if you have a target in mind, so you've got a target of 25 for the year.
Yeah.
Well,
for the remainder of the year, yes, that would be good. Because going into the holiday season, that's when we see, even in summertime, that's when we see a trickulation of when kids will just fall off the planet, so to speak. They're preparing for the holiday, and some of that is good for them and some of that is not. Being away for summer months or vacations or holiday time, anytime that they're not cohabitating with their peers, that gives too much time for an indecisive mindset, an idle mindset, and the introvertedness to be there. So always wanting to keep those tools in their hands, their hearts, and their souls, letting them know that you're the number one goal of the hour, and your goal is to remain healthy, happy, wholesome, and joyful, and to look at the future with lots of hope, because there's still things out there for them to do.
Oh, absolutely. And you are always so good at reminding us of that.
Yes.
So for you at home, in case you're wondering, there is more information to Teen Tyme, and you'll find it on their website, Teen Tyme, Tyme spelled with a Y, TYME.com, teentyme.com. That's where you'll find all the information about the organization itself. You'll find information about Miss Stacy Spencer. You will also find how you can donate. Any kind of charitable donation, they would love to accept, be glad to accept, for sure. So if you've got any ideas for them, perhaps you're thinking, you know what, I'd like to work with teens, and you have an idea, Miss Stacy's definitely open for suggestions. Why don't you check it out, teentyme.com. We'll be back after this to wrap up this week's edition of Bayside, so don't go anywhere. As always, I want to thank you at home for joining us this week on Bayside. And of course, Stacy, thank you so much for coming. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank
You're
you.
always so positive and joyful and passionate about what you do in our teens.
Yes.
That group needs a lot of love.
A lot of love
And a lot of support.
Yes.
All right, for you at home, I encourage you every week to get out and get involved in your community. This would be a great way to do that. Teentyme.com, and that's Tyme spelled with a Y. Go to that website, check it out. You'll get all the information that Stacy and I talked about and then some. Have a great rest of your week.